Hello everyone! I just wanted to do a quick verbal disclaimer here to let y'all know that this video is going to cover some more heavy or disturbing topics compared to my usual videos. This is because I'm going to be discussing my own art and OCs, which generally embody darker themes and concepts. If you're a kid or sensitive to any of the warnings I have up on screen, then I advise you to click off and not engage with this one. Anyways, let's get on with the video. What's up, witches? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, then hi, hello, nice to have you. I mentioned in my previous video that I would be starting a series where I just ramble about my own OCs for funsies, and this is going to be the first part of that. So welcome to POV, I hold you hostage and force you to listen to me talk about my OCs. Hope you like the title of the series. So, as of late in the past few months, I have been working on creating a universe of characters. It's currently called Unnamed World because I don't have a title for it quite yet. The concept of the universe was that it's going to feature characters who were either terrible, horrible people, or characters that are victims of terrible, horrible people. It's both a place where I can express my love for dark themes and artistic violence, and also kind of slip into some absurdist, dark, and surrealist comedy. And frankly, I think that none of my characters embody this vision more than Vincent Valentine, who is going to be the subject of today's video if you couldn't tell from the speed paint in the background. Now, I probably should have made a video about my character Ophelia first, just because she was technically my first character in Unnamed World, but she was not actually the character that inspired the rest of the world. Instead, it was Vince who inspired me to expand some of my concepts and such. So because he was the character that sort of inspired the world, and also because he's my favorite of the bunch, I've decided to cover him first. Remember the warnings from the beginning of the video, because this is where things will start to go down a slippery slope. So I created Vince in early November. Originally, my concept for him was like so much different than he ended up actually turning out. I wanted him to be a sort of suave and sexy spider, an air of alluring danger around him. I remember having a purple, black, and white color scheme in my head, which ironically got used for Archie later. But anyway, I also initially had the idea of him being a mask NB rather than just a man. And also I wanted him to be bisexual originally. However, when I began sketching him, and especially when I began lining and coloring him, I started to notice that his vibes were so much different than my original visions. He was so silly and kind of funny looking, and when I began bouncing ideas off of one of my friends, that being Tem, who is my stream mod, I realized that I wanted to change the direction of his character. I no longer wanted him to be a suave, gun-wielding mafia type, oh no. I now wanted to pivot his character a completely different direction, especially as I colored him and my heart just took me down the pink and polka dotty route, and he started to look like a pastel clowny funny spaghetti man. I decided that, oh yes, this guy is totally a hilarious serial killer that hasn't paid taxes in 7 years. The whole tax thing became such a meme that I even drew this piece and then printed it on a coffee mug later for myself. No, this isn't merch, I just ordered it from one of those custom Xmas mug places. And the concept just sort of grew from there. Because his vibes were similar to Ophelia's, I decided that they should be in the same sort of universe, especially with the two of them being kind of similar in terms of morality. Kind of a side note, but Ophelia was originally a character that I created to draw gore, guru, and general not safe for work of, so because of the darkness surrounding her character, that inspired me to make Vince a little bit over the top terrible as well, but in a completely different way. His name was actually planned to be Vincent before I ever changed his character, kind of inspired a bit by the old purple guy name before the FNAF fandom collectively realized his name was Billy. However, I didn't have a last name for him until I colored him, and because of the pink color scheme, the surname Valentine hit me like a truck. I especially liked the alliteration. The funny thing was that later, when I uploaded his reference on DeviantArt, I noticed that Vincent Valentine was a tag, and then I googled the name out of curiosity. Apparently Vincent Valentine is the name of a Final Fantasy VII character, which, that's sort of wild. I had no idea. I'm sorry, I've never played any Final Fantasy games, lmao. I decided not to change Vince's name though, because I think it fits him too well, honestly. Furthermore, I made his middle name Adrienne. No, not Adrian. Adrienne. If you pronounce it wrong, he will come for you. It's literally like the whole it's not Leviosa, it's Leviosa thing. As for what I imagine he sounds like, I think that his voice would be naturally pretty deep. I kind of imagine him sounding a bit like the Vocaloid Kamui Gakupo, sans the Japanese accent, of course. However, he does have pretty good control of his vocal range and can just kind of clip into flamboyantly gay when he wants to. Aside from just his name, other things that changed as I was conceptualizing him were his gender and his sexuality. First, I decided to just make him a fruity man with he/they pronouns, and then I changed his sexuality to just be gay from bisexual because just look at him, gay as fuck. I could not imagine him with a woman to save my life, actually. Also, while I started working out his MO, or mode of operation, for those of you who haven't obsessively watched true crime since you were small children, I thought it seemed like more appropriate to have him be a gay guy who primarily targeted other gay guys. I think it suited him more. To elaborate some more on the whole, like, serial killer aspect that he's got, I decided that his victim pool would be men who are successful, fairly wealthy, and roughly about 10 years older than him, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. He's very obsessed and dedicated to the idea of finding quote-unquote the one, and getting married and essentially becoming a sugar baby to a successful man that will care for him throughout the rest of his days. He's quite romance and love obsessed, and he likes to rapidly cycle through boyfriend after boyfriend. He likes to lure them in by acting like one of those stereotypical ooh-woo soft boy femboys, causing his victims to lower their guard and not pick up on the red flags about him. However, he's never been very successful in finding a guy that he finds suitable to marry. They always make one mistake or another. Vince likes to hone in, like, aggressively on each and every little thing, and sometimes something as arbitrary as not holding a door for him or forgetting to say I love you back to him will cause him to decide that they aren't good enough. And at that point, he'll do his thing. He'll generally, like, in order, drug, assault, kill, and then eat them. You know, just girly things. Now, that may seem kind of dark, but it's also really fucking funny, because he'll take pictures of this process with his terrible Samsung Galaxy camera and then upload it to his cannibal cooking hack website on the dark web. Yeah, you heard me right. That was a sentence that I just said. You see, he has comorbid ASPD and BPD and is also a cocaine addict, so he can't hold down an actual job for shit, so he generally makes money by participating in illegal pyramid schemes, which I'll talk about a little bit more later, and then selling his very amazing and not at all mediocre cooking hacks. Oh, and also his dick pics. The funniest thing about it is that his dark web website looks like a bimbo crossed with a Scene Girl's MySpace from like 2007, and it's full of crunchy-ass sparkly gifs. Yes, I say gifs, cry about it. Oh, and also he doesn't know how to spell or code, so his text layout and his pictures are always broken and jank as all hell. He may only be 27, and 6 months. He does not want you to forget that detail that he's only 6 months away from turning 28, but he knows how to use a computer about as well as a boomer does. Man texts with his cell phone at arm's length and with only his pointer finger. I'm not going to go over everything about his character, so if you want to read more about that, especially about his childhood as well as some more specific info about him, then visit his Toyhouse page. I linked it in the description. Now, before I end the video though, I want to talk about his relationships with some of my other characters in the world because I find those pretty funny also. Starting with the Noir family, Vince met Felix Noir when he was about just 17 years old, Vince being about 23 or 24 at the time. They met kind of circumstantially, but the exact details aren't important. Essentially, when Felix didn't have enough money to pay for his groceries, poor college student just moving to a new city kind of stuff, Vince helped him out, just pretending to be a good Samaritan and all, you know. After that, Felix decided that it would be good for him to have a friend in the area and pursued a friendship with him. Vince, not having many relationships, mostly because of his, penchant for murdering everyone close to him, he jumped on the opportunity, and the two of them have been pretty close since. Charlotte Noir, Felix's twin sister, and Waylon Breyer, Felix's boyfriend, are both incredibly wary of Vince, and they both think that he's creepy and sus as all hell. Vince likes to pick Felix up, being that he's literally 4'7" and tiny, and likes to hug him, touch him, and love bomb him, all of which freaks Waylon out and activates Charlotte's own creepometer as well. It is important to mention that Vince has never been inappropriate with Felix, as Felix is not his type, too young, small, and not rich enough, so most of his creepiness is more manipulative than deliberately sexual. Felix tends to be pretty naive, so he doesn't perceive Vince's clearly strange behavior as anything more than quirkiness. He has no idea about the darker side of him, he just thinks that he's weird and eccentric. So Felix is his perceived bestie, and Charlotte and Waylon both hate his creepy ass. Before I get into his relationship with Arthur Noir, I just want to talk about his friendship with Frederica Stone and Ratboy, who I don't actually have a reference for quite yet, but he is a character. Frederica, or Freddy, is a younger lady who leads an organized crime ring, and the ring is just a bunch of sassy, silly women, and I think that's really funny. She met Vince because the crime ring mostly deals drugs, notably coke, which is Vince's DOC or drug of choice. They became pretty fast besties and formed a sort of group of three with another guy called Ratboy, who is just another criminal who generally deals with scams or pyramid schemes and other things. Now, the way that Vince met Arthur Noir, who is an important character in his life, was specifically because of illegal bootlegs that he and Ratboy were selling. You see, Arthur Noir, who is Felix and Charlotte's much older half-brother, is actually a tech giant who owns a successful company called Noir Incorporated. It produces cell phones, laptops, PCs, and other such things. Just imagine Mark Beeks, but incredibly intelligent, more smarmy, and narcissistic in the clinical sense. He's not quite a billionaire, but he is definitely a seasoned millionaire, and he's kind of actually estranged from Felix and Charlotte, especially Charlotte, so it's not well known that Felix and Charlie are his siblings. In fact, it's even more difficult to notice that they're siblings because they look incredibly different because Arthur had a different father. So when Vince met Arthur, he had no idea that he was at all related to Felix. Arthur caught Vince selling bootleg Noir phones, except the logo was spelled Nor, deadass. And because Vince really hadn't made much money from the bootlegs because they were probably as good as tech you would find from a Wish.com listing, he agreed to let Vince go if he got down on his knees and gave him a little favor, if you know what I mean. Yes, Vincent Adrienne Valentine blew a CEO of a tech company to escape a legal battle. My OCs, everyone. I know, amazing, right? After that, Vince just sort of decided that Arthur was his boyfriend, you know, he's what he was looking for. Older, rich, successful, smart, all that kind of stuff. Arthur firmly maintains that he is in fact not his boyfriend though. I'll be talking more about their whole dynamic in the video that I eventually make just about Archie, so keep your eyes peeled for that one, I guess, if you're interested. Anyways, so that is the overview of Vincent Valentine. He's probably my most wacky character, definitely the most over the top, if anything. He's both hilarious to me and also pretty fucked up, so you know, that's a good combo. It's my cup of tea when it comes to writing funny men. I hope that this video is kind of enjoyable, or at least got a laugh from you. If you liked it and want to see more like it, please let me know in the comments just because I had a lot of fun making it, as I've been hella fixated on my own OCs as of late, and I really like sharing some of my feral ideas with y'all. With all of that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please rate and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Again, as I mentioned earlier, Vincent's Toyhouse profile containing detailed information, some of which was not covered in this video, is linked in the description if you want to read more and see more of my art of him. Besides that, you can follow the link to my card in the description if you are interested in following me on other platforms and seeing some of my artwork. Both safe for work, and if you're over 18, not safe for work as well. Thank you all for watching, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and don't forget, stay magical.